Recorded?
Okay, good evening, everyone. We're going to start the today help session on Apache Spark. This is related with your next assignment, which is due in less than a week, which is the Apache Spark tutorial, even though it's not heavy weight in your final grade, but it's crucial assignment because actually after you learn it about Spark, this is the first thing you have to do step by step, the way it's described, to set up the environment and to start working in this with this new technology for big data. Very important. We have found that during all the time we are teaching the Apache Spark, giving this help session is very helpful because there are so many details, so many steps, and so importantly, you shouldn't be skipping no step at all. I don't know how to stress on this. How important is you follow all the instructions step by step. And of course, each step has the why. Of course, the first time you go over, you don't have the why you have to do that. And we totally understand when you follow something automatically without too many answering why I have to do that, sometimes you skip a step even unintentionally. So that's why we're going to try here to give you more overview, overarching overview, and then step to follow and advise how to ask and how to be successful with this crucial assignment. With no more, I'm giving the presentation to Elena, which actually is the one who is going to guide you through all the steps and all the importance to log out of the environment because you are learning so many stuff all together. And we totally understand. So be patient, don't get frustrated. We understand that, but this is intense course and it has to be done in this period of time. With no more, Elena.
All right, so Elena already talked about the agenda. One thing I want to remind everybody, and most of you have been good about it so far, this is how to ask questions effectively because this is part of your career. So mainly, I don't want to hear something like, it does not work, or it does not let me in. I don't want to hear that. What I want to hear instead is that what you're trying to do, what is the expected result, and what do I need to do to reproduce the issue, step by step, right? And if possible, please add screenshots of the errors when reporting errors. In fact, in the discussion, you'll see it says instructions say to include the screenshots, right? And the steps to reproduce when report an error. It's very important, all right? So with that being said, so Spark tutorial, here are the high level steps. What you need to do is log into IBM Watson Studio, right? Which is an integrated environment that used to develop, train, and manage the models, right? That you use to build AI applications. You're gonna create a new project. Then you're gonna add the object storage, right? Well, for some of you, if it's not the first project that you're creating, then you already have an object storage. You're gonna select the one that you created before, okay? Now, there is a storage delegation setting that you need to set, and I'll show you where it is, because sometimes it's set, sometimes it's not. Usually it is, sometimes it's not, you never know. You always want to check. Then you're gonna add your data, and then you're gonna add your notebook. But here, this step is very important. You need to add the data before adding the notebook, okay? Because if you do it the other way around, it's not doing what you want it to be doing, okay? And I'm gonna show you step by step what I'm doing to add data. Okay, so here it is. This is the IBM Watson Studio. I'm gonna go in the home. So I'm gonna assume that everybody attempted to log in. This is data platform, cloud, ibm.com, and you use the same username and the same password that you were using to access your IBM Cloud account that you created about a couple of weeks ago, something like that, right? So, well, those are the recently projects that I created. You're not gonna have anything at the moment. Well, if you have not started working on assignment, then here I wanted to just quickly point out, if you scroll all the way down, you're gonna see these sample notebooks. Because somewhere in your homework assignment, you have a question about the ways to add a notebook. So just bear this in mind. In general, you can click on this, you can click on any notebook in a gallery, and you can add this to the project. You can add this to your project. So just I want you to keep in mind that it's possible, it can be done, okay? It just hint, okay, it can be done. Now, what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna create a brand new project, right? To do that, I have to click on create project. Then I've got two options. And in your case, you want to create an empty project, right? Because it just new, right? I'm gonna go do that. And okay, so now I have to define the project name. And let me call it this, let me call it summer 2020 demo. You cannot have more than one project with the same name, so just keep it in mind. Description is optional. And here, this is the object storage name that I already have from the past. I just keep it. And I'm going to do create, okay? Now, what you will need to do is, in the classroom, you need to download the data set, but do yourself a favor, download it without opening, okay? Because you don't want the data to be messed up unintentionally. Okay, I'm gonna say maybe later. I don't want to start the tour right now. So here it is. This is the project summary page. This is a project name. This is how much memory you're currently using, and that's you, collaborator. So now, this is the assets page. This is where you would usually see your data sets and notebook. At the moment, I don't have any, right? Environment, that would show what's currently running, right? That's one way. So this one here, well, don't let yourself confused. This shows how many hours I've used in the project. It does not show how many hours I've used total in a month, right? And here is the project settings. And in here, you could see, well, in this case, you don't see anything because we really did not do anything yet, okay? Now, what we're gonna do right now is this. We're gonna go to the assets page and I'm gonna do add data. There are multiple ways to do it. Okay, there is a data option in here. I can do that or I can click on browse and upload. Okay, browse. And then I can do upload. So this is the employee attrition file, right? So I do, okay, it's still uploading. See that you're gonna say pending. Excellent, so this is done. This is the data right now. I'm gonna add the notebook, right? Add to project, and I have to select notebook, there it is. Over here, you have to be really carefully because, I mean, not blank, but from file, okay? So now what you have to do is you have to browse to select the file. Ooh, looks like the interface is changing as I speak. Oh, okay, here it is. You have to click here. The interface slightly changed. Before, there used to be a button to upload, but right now, you have to click in here to upload the file. Well, just keep in mind that this interface changes. Sometimes what you see here could be slightly different from what is in the instructions. Instead of the button, you see the link, but it's the same thing, okay? So now I click here, this is my notebook. This is very important. You must choose the correct environment. And in this case, this is what we're using, okay? Spark 2.3, this one, Python 3.6. And I'll show you what to do if you accidentally select the incorrect environment, okay? There we go. So now I'm ready to create my project. I'm gonna hit create. And also please note this. What is this? In my account, I have 50 capacity unit hours per month. This is not a limitation, this is a privilege, okay? You have 50 hours that you may use per month. Here at 1.5, it means that for every hour, for every clock hours that I'm actually working, it's gonna consume 1.5, right? And I believe somewhere in the slide, I may or may not have done the math for you. So basically, if you divide 50 by 1.5, you're gonna get an idea of how many clock hours per month you get. It's plenty. If you use it right, it's plenty, but you have to stop the environment before when you're not working, okay? So there we go, I edited and I'm gonna hit create. It's gonna take a while, a little bit, few minutes. And while it's doing it, well, the service is starting. And when I load my notebook, my clock starts. So this month, I'll be honest, I have not done anything. I tested the notebook last month to conserve the hours for this month. See this? It's saying it's starting. Okay. When it starts, I'll show you what you do next. All right. Okay, well, I don't want to do the tour right now. I don't want to do this now. So, as you may have noticed, the notebook consists of the cells. In here, in this cell at the top, it just basically is a markdown cell. It tells you what the notebook is about. And here, this is a table of contents. So idea, when I click on this, it's gonna take me to the corresponding session of the notebook, all right? So your next step is this. You're gonna scroll down, right? You're gonna go all the way to here, load data. And in here, this is where you're gonna add the credentials. So you can expand this panel here. So this is a file that we uploaded before, okay? So you click in here, and in here, you have to select this Spark Session Data Frame. There we go. So when you do it, one more thing you have to do is this. You have to change this to a 1. Well, because everywhere else in the code, it's using 1. Another important thing is this is the object storage bucket, right? Bucket name. So what you'll do is this. You do copy this, and then you scroll all the way down, and you're gonna replace this word bucket with this. Okay, oops, I forgot letter T. I did not remove letter T, here we go. So I just copy and paste, okay? And after that, you're just gonna run your notebook. Here, we introduce variety of concepts. So we're loading the data, and we are working with RDD, and then we're also doing a little bit of the SQL, right? And we're also doing some plots. There is a bunch of stuff in here, but what I want you guys to do is just make sure that you understand the high level steps, all right? Because what it's doing in here, and this part here, it's calculating the average job satisfaction per department. I realize the complexity of these steps here. But what I want you to understand is that there is more than one way to do this. Here, you are shown how to do it via RDD. And just remember that if you're doing it, if you use RDD, there are a bunch of ugly steps in here, okay? Another way that you could do it is just by the SQL, right? Or like in here, see this, you could use the Spark SQL to get the averages, right? In here, we're doing a count, but you similarly could do the average here, which is very simple, just one query, right? Or you could also do it here. See this? This here, it accomplishes the same. See this over here, it's gonna compute the average job satisfaction per department. See this is very nice in a couple steps, right? You don't need to do it in this long sequence of steps, which is done over there after you parse the data. See this how ugly it is? It's a lot of steps, right? And in session 9040, I received the questions about these steps because things like this, reduce by key, it's I admit that it's really difficult to follow the first time you see it. So I try to find the examples for this to explain it better. So basically what you're doing in here, to this cell, it just basically you're gonna load the data into the here. See this? You're creating the data frames. This is gonna create the data frame, right? And at the same time you are reading the data into the RDD, then you instantiate the RDD. See this here, you're reading it into the, it's taking the text file and it's gonna read the data into the RDD EA, but remember that in a Spark you have two types of the commands. You have action and you have the transformation. So when you actually read it, nothing happens. You have to do instantiate the RDD, okay? So, and to do that, you have to run the transformation command. So usually things like take or print, right, that's gonna do the transformation, okay? So let's run this thing here. I'm not gonna run everything because, you know, this is your homework assignment, but let me see, I have a question in the chat. Yes, okay. What did you replace the bucket with again? Excellent. Let me explain it again, Danica, no worries. So here, this is the bucket name, right? And in assignment 3, in assignment 2 rather, I have a better picture. I put a screenshot of this code, and then I put a screenshot of this line, whereas the word bucket is side by side, and I put an arrow. So here it is. This is the bucket, okay? I put the word bucket, and the bucket is in here, this one, okay? You're gonna take this. Of course, your bucket name is gonna be different because it's associated with the project. Every project is gonna be different bucket name. So I called it the Spark demo, and this is what it's gonna be, yeah, for me. Okay, so let me see. Okay, excellent. No problem. I want you guys to ask questions because that's what we are here for, okay? So let me see, let me try to run this. But basically, no, I forgot to tell you that when you run this notebook, you have to do everything from the top. You have to do everything from the top. And especially it's gonna be very important for the next assignment, assignment 2, because at the very top of the notebook, you are declaring libraries, okay? That will be used later. So see here, I run this, and if you see this little asterisk, it means that it's still executing the code, and it's gonna take a while, but you got an idea what it's doing. It's starting the session, and it's gonna connect this with the credentials, right? So see here, it's giving me the status, and when it's finished running, I'm gonna see here the number. It's gonna be 2, right? So when you submit this assignment, the instructor will be checking to make sure that you ran all cells in a sequence and that you put credentials in the right spot. All right. So here, see this? I read this file, right? Yeah. So now I'm gonna do the create the RDD run. Let me see. Oh, this is a data frame. My mistake. This is a data frame, right? I'm loading it in a data frame because later on in this file, I'm showing you how to do the data frame operations. That's why. So I'm showing you how to work with multiple objects, the data frame and RDD. Yeah, when you're suggesting what? When you are suggesting to skip doing, well, no. Spark SQL does not use the RDD, but the idea here, we want you to get a taste of everything because the next assignment, when you do the Spark ML, you have to use the RDD. So what you do is you're gonna use the data frame for the data exploration, and then you're gonna use the RDD to run the pipeline, to do you're going to use the RDD to run the logistic regression in the next assignment. So I want you to know both. We want you to know how to work with RDD, and we want you to know how to do the SQL as well. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that when you do the RDD, there are multiple steps, right? We want you to know how to do it all, but what I was trying to say is that over there, to get the average satisfaction, they're going to be multiple steps, okay? There is more than one way to obtain it, is what I'm saying. All right, so here, what actually happened is that, here in this line of code, we're gonna instantiate the RDD, but RDD itself, it's a little bit more complex. So that's why I had some questions in session 9040. There was a question about this specifics of, I'm not gonna run everything, but I need to explain what lambda is. Lambda is a function, but it's an anonymous function, so there is no name here. What is it doing in here is that I'm creating the new RDD, right? Because RDD is immutable, and I'm calling it EA parse. And lambda is an anonymous function. I'm taking it. The goal here is to parse the input file, right? The file was read into EA, and I want to parse it line by line. Map is a Python function that loops through every single element, right, in the list. In your case, the element is going to be a line split. So this is going to split the line because the file is comma delimited, right? And it's going to create a field per it's going to create it. It looks like a table, but it's not. It's an RDD, right? It's going to separate the data, split the data. And one thing to remember is that in Python, indexing starts from 0, right? So the idea here now, we want to calculate in here the average job satisfaction per department. It's going to be a little bit more complex because there is no function called average. There is no function called average. So what we did here was that we filtered the ID. Okay, I'm sorry, we removed the first row. The first row, this has the column headings. S of 0, it means that at the very first position, well, what we want to do is that we want to remove the first row. So that means that the very first cell in first row, first cell does not have the thing called ID, right? That's what we want to keep. We want to remove the table headers, and then we preview the first 5 rows. So this is the EA satisfaction. This is the RDD. Now I'm interested in looking at the key, which is the department. I'm interested only in department and only in the satisfaction values. Unfortunately, RDD is immutable. I cannot just drop the columns that I'm not interested in. So in order to create another RDD, I would explicitly have to specify the column positions that I want to take. So basically what I did here for you, I tried to put this on a PowerPoint slide, how things are breaking down. So you know, map, right, it's going to run the specify function on each element of RDD, and it's going to return the new RDD. This is the transformation, right? Lambda is an anonymous function, and see here, this is an example. We are splitting, right, and we are creating EA parse. The next step is this. So here are the columns, right? And we need to take the column at the position, this is department at the position number 8, right? And here we want to build these values that look like this. The key is a department, right? In here, we want to build a pair where a value is going to be the value of the satisfaction level, which is at position 1, right? You want to do this. And then 1 stands for 1 person. Just bear with it, so to speak, right? So here, this is EA satisfaction. This is the RDD that we built in a previous slide. Map means that I want to apply this here for every single row in the RDD. Here, X basically, here it's gonna take a row from this, right? X of 8 means that I want to take the element at the 8th position. In this case, it's a department. In here, I want to build something like a vector, and it's gonna have two elements. The first one, I'm converting it to, it's gonna be the float, and I'm taking whatever satisfaction value is. And in here, it's one person. This is a little bit tricky because there is no such a thing now as an average. To get the average, I had to take the sum of satisfaction scores in the department, and I have to divide by number of people in the department. This is a bit tricky. There is a function in here called reduceByKey. What this will do is it will take these pairs here, over here, and it's going to take this here. See this, the like sales, right? I see sales here twice, value 1 and value 3. So it's gonna take for sales, it's gonna add value 1 plus value 3, and then the next number is gonna be 2 because it adds 1 plus 1, right? So in other words, I want to produce here the list where the first element, the first one here is gonna be the department name. Over here, it's going to be the sum of the satisfaction scores in that department. And here it's going to be number of people who work for the department. Now, this is a little tricky, I agree. So basically V1 and V2, I'm taking the two records. It's like, think of it this way. It's two value pairs from two records with the same department ID. And I'm adding the first element, right? This one, because the pair has two elements, right? The first element position 0 and the second element position 1. So this is gonna be the sum here, right? Now, what I need to do is I just have to divide, right? Which is what it's doing in the notebook. Let me see. Friend, yes. Oh, what is, if there is 3 times, no, that will add 3 times, yes. Well, you don't need to add V3 because it's gonna loop through the whole data set. It's gonna apply to the whole data set. So no worries about this, but it's an excellent question. There is no V3. But the idea here is that, see, it's looping through the whole thing. But, oh, oh, I'm sorry, friend, I misunderstood the question. If I had 3 things in a pair, right? Like I have 2, then it's gonna be V3. That's right, you're right. Well, it's gonna be V of 3. The bracket is gonna be 3, right? If I'm understanding it right. Because see here, I take, there's 2, this is a 2 rows, right? And in here, V0, right? But if I had another element in here, then it's gonna be 3. But this is how it works. I just basically take V1 and V2. This is going to look at the whole data set. Well, reduceByKey, this is very complex. But you taking these two are value pairs with the same key. It does not matter. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, I hope people understand. So yeah, 2 different rows. Yes. Well, so basically, let's just think of it. Okay, think of it this way. Let's look at the big picture instead. Yes. The function takes all the first values and sums them. Yes. Excellent. Yes. So we have to produce the sum. And I found another example that I'll show you. In the gallery, there are some good notebooks with basic function, and it also has the output. For the homework assignment, what we did before we uploaded the notebook to assignment folder, we deleted the output because I wanted to see how you do it first, okay? So yeah, here, this is gonna create this RDD, and then I did not add it to the slide, but if you scroll down even further, over here, what it will do is that it will divide. It's gonna take whatever the sum is, and it's gonna divide by number of people. That's what it's doing. So the idea here, this is a long way to do it, right? And then it's showing you an alternative way to do it. When you don't have an RDD, when you have a data frame, you need to know all, unfortunately. So yes, yes. Well, it takes the second value and sums them. Yes, excellent. Yes, it's gonna take the second one and sum it. Yes. Yes. Yes, excellent, excellent. It's gonna do the sum here because you've got the two elements. Well, here, this is basically what if we take the third values, and it's gonna be the subscript is gonna be 3. Like in here, do you see that I've got the two subscripts here? In this case, there are 2, right? I'm looking at the sum and I'm looking at number of people. I could be looking at something else, and they're gonna be the third one. It's gonna be a bracket of 3. No problem. I can do as many as I want. It would be summed. Yes, yes, excellent. Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. Thank you, Derek. I appreciate it because, well, there is more than one way to look at this, right? There's more than one way to look at it. And yes, it's reduced by key is complex. I'm gonna admit it. Okay. So, but what I did was there is one of the notebook in a gallery. And I think this has a little bit easier example of reduced by key. So sometimes it makes sense to look at the simpler example first, okay? Sometimes it makes sense to look at the simpler example first, but I thought I saw it reduced by key, so let me search. Yeah, it's on here. See this? Look at what this guy is doing in here. It's gonna add the same way. See this first line, second, see this line? It's gonna group, see this? Lines are gonna be added together. And then this is gonna be, see this line 3 times, second, once. Yes, this is a little bit simpler example. But in here, you don't have the list like I did, right? So here are a little bit simpler examples that you might want to consider just looking at, and you don't need to run it because it's giving you what an output is, right? It's giving you what an output is. And here are some very good examples. So I just strongly recommend that you take a look at the sample notebooks in a gallery if you want to learn more, but don't worry about those small steps. Just get a big picture that you can do it via RDD, or we can do this in a data frame, right? So this is what it's actually doing in here, right? And also what you have here is that you have some advanced SQL, but first make sure that you understand what this guy here is doing, right? Here you want to calculate the number of people per department. So you selecting the department, count star, right? And then you have to group by department, but it's possible to have more than one grouping column. This is what you're asked to do in the ungraded exercises. So basically for every non-grouping column that you've got in the select clause, you're gonna put it in a group by clause, okay? And here, the reason I'm taking it to the uppercase because the sorting is case sensitive. I want to sort it regardless of the case. Okay, so let me see what else is in the chat. Okay, it would be summed with other two. Yes, yes, excellent. Yes, excellent, excellent. I appreciate it, yes, because there's more than one way to explain this. Yes. So, yeah, And another thing is that the last ungraded exercise is more complex. I want you to keep in mind that it's possible to have more than one aggregate function in a select clause, okay? So here we can find out the number of, see this, we have one value if the employee stayed, another value if the employee left, and the value is 1. So think about what happened if we take the sum, right? Think about how we get the total number of employees, right? I'll just give you a little hints in here. Right, we want you to attempt the ungraded exercise. If you don't get it right, it's not a big deal because you're gonna get the answer, but we want you to give it a try. Okay. Oh, so please explain, Ryan, what, okay, I'm trying to understand what the question is. Well, see this subscript of 0. Remember, this is the value pair. This is a value pair over here. If I look at this, this is a value pair, so this is what it's doing in here. See, value of 0, it's gonna be the actual values, right? This is a value, these are the values of 0. And the values of 1, it's gonna be the count, like one person, 1, 1, 1, 1. I'm adding everything, I'm grouping by the key, and I'm adding the values that correspond to the key. And the same thing here. Linesh, am I explaining it right? Maybe you have a better way to say it. Well, V1 is a record, right? And V2 is another record. Linesh, are you here?
Yeah. I was just getting off.
Maybe you have a better way to explain it because.
No, I think, you're explaining it right. I don't think there would be another way to see it. But yeah, you can give it a shot and see if there are questions.
Yeah, because yes, there are questions in the chat. Take a look.
Okay.
Because based on what's in the chat, it's unclear what V1 and V2 is. So this row over here where it says sales, this is a V1, right? Over here, second row where it says sales, this is a V2, right?
Right.
And then if we look at the slide before, this is the V1 of 0, which is value 1, right? V2 of 0, V2 of 0, this is value 3, right? V1 of 1 is 1, and V2 of 1 is 1. Am I explaining it incorrectly? Because I think some people are still not getting what I'm saying.
No, I think you're explaining it right. I know it's hard unless you kind of try a few things with the code to see what you're exactly getting.
Yes, those are the value pairs, yes. No, because, I mean, you see the chart? Do you see the chart?
Yes, I'm looking at it.
Yes, please go ahead, because I've been doing my best, but I mean, sometimes if my explanation is not clear, the best approach is to ask you to step in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, in the left box.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
Yes.
it's hard to get it, but I said that the best way is to, kind of just try it out within the code. And, when you see the results, it kind of becomes more clearer. It's a little complex, from explanation perspective or kind of, understanding it in the first shot. So, what I would do is just, try running the code and see for yourself the results you get. And by making changes, of course. That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, well, there is a key and sales, but yeah, what I'm trying to do is see the goal here is to get the average, right? So that we have to take, how do you do the average? You need to find out the number of people, right? You need to know how many people I have in the department. So that's why I created the pair where one is one person and I've got the score. So I have to sum up. I take the total score and I have number of people. and then I go divide. That's how I get an average. Does it make sense?
I mean,
Well,
it does to me.
but is anybody else, is it unclear? Because I want to make sure it's clear, but well, it just, we need to, it's better how to tell you, focus on the big picture of this. Let's focus on the big picture. Okay. So, there's actually two items in a row, sales and value. Yes, value consists of two pairs. Yeah. So, well, yeah. Yes. Thank you, Capone. Yes, the one way to think of it is a matrix. Yes. So I really appreciate we have a nice discussion over there. Yes, there is more than one way to see it. That's right. So when I explain it as one way, yeah. So we are doing this because RDD does not have an average. Well, yes, there is no average function. So we are sort of writing it, right? It's not quite writing it, but what I'm saying is that to get an average, you can take the sum and divide it by the total. Well, the bottom line was that we're trying to show here that there is more than one way to do it. This is how you do it using data frame, and this is how you do it without the data, with RDD, sorry. So the RDDs, there are more steps behind the scenes that are involved. Okay. Now, another thing that we wanted to show you, which I believe is important, is this. When you make edit to the code, when you change the code, you have to rerun the whole thing, right? To rerun the whole thing, you're gonna do this. Restart and clear output. What this will do is it will restart the kernel and clear all output. You want to do it when you made the changes to the code because you have to rerun the code, right? And that way, in the numbers, all of the cells will be renumbered up here. All of the executable cells are going to be renumbered, starting from 1. I cleared it, right? And I'll be rerunning it from scratch. So suppose that right now, suppose that I'm done with working, right? Or if I want to take a break, I have to stop the kernel. So that way, I do not consume any hours, and I'm going to do shutdown. That way, I'm not consuming hours, right? But when I'm ready to run again, I can just do the start. I can just do kernel, and then there should be an option to start. Okay, restart. This is what I would do to continue working on this. Okay. You mean we changed the call? Yes, exactly. That's right. When I edit the cell, well, in this case, it's not as a big issue, but when you do your next assignment, suppose that I want to change how something is defined, right? Yes, you have to rerun the whole thing. It's better to do it this way. Because, well, in the next one, you're gonna have a complex, well, a little bit complex parser function. And a parser function is gonna be what gets called after the file is loaded. And you're gonna be playing around with it because sometimes you don't know that it's not working until you actually call it, right? So when you edit the function, you have to rerun where it's defined. So basically, when you edit the code, just rerun everything. Well, you will see why later. When you work on the next assignment, you're gonna see why. Well, because how are you going to instantiate the variables and everything? So when you edit the code, yes, please. And also, after you take a break, you want to rerun everything because when the session stops, the values are lost, right? It's not gonna know what the variable is. You're gonna say, hey, what's going on? Why am I getting an error? I thought I defined it yesterday. No, you have to rerun it from the top. You have to do it all from the top, but you want to clear the output. And just do it fresh, you know. Yeah, okay, let me see. You mean when changing, well, yeah, when you edit it. Well, Here, well, in here we're using the Python to turn in, but I'm not sure if it's possible to do both Python and Scala. Probably not, because you had to pick a different kernel. So this is we're using Python here for this assignment. We don't use Scala. Yeah, but later at your leisure time, you could try it later on if you have hours left after, because what's happening, we have capacity unit hours for this and next assignment, right? Yeah, so 50 hours. If when you're done with the assignment too, if you have hours remaining for this month, you can try it. Yeah, but as far as I know, we cannot do the Python and Scala in the same notebook.
Yeah, just one thing to add here,
Yeah.
especially while you think of running the code from the top, and sometimes you could be getting errors that you're really not expecting, and you're not able to get why you're getting certain errors, right? So what has kind of helped in the past is close the notebook gracefully, log out and make sure you do clear the cache, the browser cache, and restart, relog in, and restart the notebook. Many a times, sometimes you've been running this notebook multiple times, and there are things that cached that may not be, helping you while you're trying to run the notebook. So one of the things when things get too complex and the errors are something that you really don't understand at all, and you don't expect them, this would be one of the techniques to try it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. So now what I'm doing is this. I'm gonna go here. Okay, suppose that I'm done, right? I'm gonna go back to my project and let's see what's happening. Did it actually stop the runtime? Who knows? Let's find out. So please make sure that you understand that what it shows in the project is what I used for this project. It's not necessarily what I used so far this month, right? Well, right now I don't have anything running because I stopped the kernel. And this is what I recommend you should do. And then just to make sure, before you log out, you have to go to the thing, manage, environmental runtime, and please do yourself a favor, make sure that nothing is running. Because this is, I used up, this is how much I consumed so far this month, and this is the remaining. Now, you are asked to check your balance twice. And one of you brought a very good point. If you should check after you ran the ungraded exercises also, well, this is fine. So either way, the instructor will count it correct. If you do a second check after you run ungraded exercises or after you run graded exercises, well, the instructor will count both ways. But the whole idea here is to see that the counter, the clock is this number up here in the right should be decreasing, and the first number should be increasing. And then on June 30, right, very late in the evening, maybe like 10 p.m., the hours will be reset to 50. There is a little time difference. It's going on a different time zone, okay? So this will be reset to 50. And something else, at some point in June, not now, but later this month, you will be instructed to apply the code. You'll be instructed to obtain and apply the code to your assignment, because to do assignment to your account, sorry, to do next to assignment 3-4, you will have to have the account converted to the academic account. So watch out for that. And if you're one of those who took the class last semester, your account has a code applied. So you don't want to miss the deadline to apply the code. You want to pay close attention to when we send an email, because you don't want your account to expire, okay? You don't want your account to expire, because then it's a little bit more complex. And another thing, please, guys, do not click on upgrade. Do not put your credit card number. Please don't do this, please. Nobody should do it. Now, what else I mentioned here earlier is that things happen sometimes when I go and when I try to add a notebook, oops, when I try to add a notebook, once in a while I could select the wrong runtime. It could happen. So let me go in here and I'm gonna do, oops, what is this? Okay, so I'm gonna go to assets, right? And I'm gonna try to do something now, something silly. I'm gonna add something wrong. So I'm gonna go to this here, add to project, and I'm gonna add the notebook, all right? And I'm gonna do this from file, but now intentionally, I'm gonna add this, and I have to rename it because I cannot have, I should not have two files with the same name. And now I'm gonna just make a mistake. I'm gonna be a student who does not pay attention to instructions. It's possible. Okay, so I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna click create. Okay, I'm gonna be a student who doesn't pay attention to instructions. Okay, uh-oh, what am I doing? Oh, I selected the wrong notebook and this one is gonna eat 2 CPU. So with that, I only have 25 hours per month. I thought I had more. Well, I'm about to panic here. Don't. Let it finish loading. Let it finish loading, great. Then what you could do is just this. You have to do, it's finished, just let it wait. Okay. No, I don't want to set kernel. Well, see this, the first thing that I got, it's a pop-up. It's an indication that this work was done in a different environment. So if you see this pop-up, it means that you did something incorrectly. Well, no worries, I'm gonna go back to here. Okay, I'm going to delete this, but first of all, it's not gonna let me delete because I have a lock on it. See this? It must be unlocked. So this is what you could do. First of all, go to the environment. See this? It's running the wrong environment right now, right? Because when I added the notebook incorrectly, I put the wrong environment. I want to stop it. Go to environment and we're gonna stop this. Okay, it's gonna stop. Now I'm gonna go back to my assets page. I'm gonna go back to notebooks. Notebooks. Okay, so this is the wrong one. I'm gonna click on the lock and I'm gonna do unlock it. And now I'm gonna delete it. Okay. Okay. If it's locked, it means that somewhere you have it open. But another thing is that try not to have it open in multiple windows and don't open it in multiple browsers because you're gonna be burning your capacity hours. But if done right, you should have plenty. Also, while you're editing the code, you don't have to have the kernel running. That's the thing. You could stop it and then rerun everything from the top. Because the idea here, you don't want to be kernel running while you're not using. Just think of it this way. The summer, hot summer day, you have the air conditioning on. And at the same time, somebody who lives with you perhaps, or your guest, did not close the window. It's like you're wasting resources, right? You want to have the windows closed and you want to put the temperature that is comfortable for you. You're not gonna put it at 50 degrees and have all windows open, right? You're not gonna get it closer to the fall weather just because you're doing it this way. You're gonna use as many, you're gonna put the temperature comfortable for you and you're gonna keep your windows closed, right? Same thing here. You're gonna use resource as you need it. You're not gonna kill the server by leaving it running, leave it running, right? So 50 hours that you have, it's not a limitation, it's a privilege. You can use it for 50 hours per month and then that's it, right? So you want to use it wisely. Run it only when you're running it. You're not gonna run this kernel while you're not doing the work, right? And I think one of you learned this lesson on the first assignment with Microsoft Azure, where you forgot to stop the cluster, but that's okay. That was the cheap mistake because you just use it for the first assignment, and sometimes one way to learn it is from mistake, is that if it does not have an impact on the next assignment. So, but I don't want you to think of it as a limit. This is not a limit, this is a privilege. You get 50 hours, okay? And this is plenty of hours because think of it this way. If you do the math, if you divide 50 by 1.5, it tells you how many clock hours you get, which is more than plenty, right? It's a little bit less than a work week. So you're good. Trust me, you're good, okay? So let me look at the slides to make sure I didn't miss. So here is how to restart the kernel. Oh, this is a CPU. So I did this math for you. This is actually the 33 hours, which is about 4 work days. Okay, this is about 4 work days. Okay, and what else do I have in here? This is how you check the how much hours you have left and how many you spent. And here I just wanted to point out some notebooks in a gallery you want to look at, and they show you the output as well. They show you what an output is. You don't need to run it, but if you want to learn a little bit more about the visualization, because in your next assignment, there are 3 parts. Part 1, you give in the code, you run it. Part 2 is when you need to write the code. Well, it's nothing that crazy like here with complex. Well, there is an RDD, but you're not going to be doing anything that crazy like you saw today. But here, but you're going to be asked to do some visualizations, right? So here, there are some good examples with the matplotlib library on how to visualize the data, because you're not limited to the bar plot. You can do the pie chart, etc. for your assignment 2, part 2. And part 3 is a little bit of research. So one thing is, little secret, how to get more time on assignment 2. Assignment 2 is already available, but you have to submit the Spark tutorial first. So if you submit Spark tutorial earlier, you win in yourself extra time for assignment 2. Okay, just keep it in mind. This is a good way to get extra time on assignment 2 by finishing this Spark assignment early. It's fair game, okay? But let me know if we have further questions, because this is opportunity for you to ask questions. And this is the reason we have Lineage here too, because we have different way to explain it. Right, Lineage? And I believe you had the Spark assignment, right?
Right, right,
What did we use? We used the precipitation data.
right, right. Yeah.
Which is one of the sample notebooks, but we no longer do that because unfortunately some people just took the output from the sample notebook and did not run it. You want to make sure that you get as much as possible of this, that you actually run it. So that's why we gave you something with deleted output and something that is unique, not in a sample library, because sample you can look at your own time. But for the grading, what you submit is this, something that's not in a samples library. And it's not just the grade, it goes more than the grade. You want to learn it. You take the class and you want to get out something from the class other than grade. You want to get out the knowledge, because myself as a student, I used to say, okay, I would rather get a B and learn something from the class, from my classmates, etc., than getting an A and not learning anything. You know, it's like an easy ticket, so to speak, right? Easy way out. No. Because when I was at the grad school, my goal was to, well, I wanted to get a diploma, but at the same time, I was trying to learn as much as possible from the class, because it's just a chance to learn from your classmates, from TA, from the faculty, and there are a lot of resources in the classroom that you might want to, some of it you might want to download, you might want to take notes on. So myself, no, honestly, I swear, I said I would rather get a B and work for it and learn from the class and get an easy A. That was me, it was my policy, it was how I looked at things, you know. So it just keep it in mind. So that's why sometimes I see B is a good grade, because it's a benchmark, and well, I would rather get something and work for it than have an easy A, like all of the answers given to me, just copy paste them. I cannot see it as an accomplishment. What am I going to celebrate if I just copied the answer? Nothing, right? But if I accomplish something, right? If I get perhaps like an 85 on assignment and I work for it, it's my original work. I did a lot of research. Then it's a celebration. It's a sense of accomplishment, right? So it just keeps it in mind. It's my personality. I like to have a sense of accomplishment rather than having ABC. What you need is a B to get a diploma, but it's a matter of you achieved something. You got it working on your own, right? That's a thing. So that's my view. Okay, let's see. When I do not know a code, okay, like to join 3 tables in a Spark SQL. Okay, well, okay, to do the join, to do the query, this is a good Ask Elena question. Okay, we're gonna do a session on a SQL, but I'm gonna admit to you, if you look at this R, Python, and SQL is my strongest because I use it daily at my full-time job. So yes, there is a section. If you look in a classroom, there is a section on the resources. It's called hands-on resources, I think, right? There is sections in a classroom. So this is a so this is the session 9040, but session 9041 has the same content because it was created from the same template. Okay, so what you do is, well, you have here is let me actually swap as a student. I'm gonna swap as a student. So this is what you see. Okay, this is what you see, and I'm gonna go to the content. Okay, and there is a section in the content which is called hands-on resources. Over here, okay, hands-on resources, and this has 3 sections in here. There is a section for the SQL resources, okay, and there is also a section for Python resources, and there is a section for the R resources, okay. But in terms of joining 3 tables, you're not asked to do this. For this specific assignment, you're not joining 3 tables here, okay? But in general, I should call myself as a good resource for the queries. Well, at some point in an interview, job interview, I was asked a question, name a very good tool that you could use for writing queries. And I answered Elena myself. Believe it or not, I gave this answer because I'm usually good at writing the queries, not using any drag and drop things, but SQL. So I'm a SQL go-to person everywhere. So for the SQL, yes, we're gonna do the SQL session, but if you want to know how to do the joins, I'm more than happy to show you how. We're not gonna do it in this class, it's not gonna be that complex. We're gonna do the subqueries. We're gonna do the aggregate functions, but we're not gonna do the table joins.
But in general, I would say that Google and Stack Overflow,
Oh,
they are friends. So
mm,
use them as good resources. That you could search for them. I mean, yes, there's a Spark SQL material in here. There's all these resources that Yelena is kind of showing you. But besides that, I would strongly suggest. I would always advise to make Google and Stack Overflow your friends.
you don't need to do 3 table join in a sort ungraded exercise because I did not want to show the answer, but since you asked, you can have multiple aggregation here because if a person, if okay, look at it this way, attrition has 2 values, 0 and 1, right? When I take the sum of this, I'm gonna get the number of people who stayed, right? So if I know the number of people who stayed, If I know how many people there are, I can get the number of people who left. You can have more than one aggregate function in the same select clause. You can do that. Okay, you can do this. This is ungraded exercise, but I'm not gonna give you the answer. I want you to try, but then I'll give you the answer. But keep in mind, well, I see what you're saying. A lot of my coworkers as well, when they see the question like this, they try to do it, as you say, the self-join, but few times we had problems when the query was too slow, and I showed this trick to optimize, something like that. And I'm gonna show you even neater way. When we're gonna do the, later we're gonna do more SQL, I'm gonna show you even nicer way, okay, with a case statement. I'm gonna show you, okay? Okay, I'm just making sure that we have to submit. Well, assignment 2 is not due this Tuesday. It's due at the end of the month. Okay. Okay, assignment 2 is gonna be due at the end of the month. It's not due this Tuesday. This Tuesday is a Spark tutorial. Assignment 2 is gonna be due the end of the month, so it's couple Tuesdays after. And also, do not forget, you have more reading for assignment 2. This is the week 5 and 6. Well, there is more reading. This book in here, there is the reading about the regression and naive Bayes method. So you want to do this first, right? Before you work on assignment 2, you need to read the chapter 5. Okay, please read this chapter 5. Okay, and also watch this video. This presentation was done by, his name is Gobati. You may or may not have met him, but he taught this class before. Yeah, so this is a recording. He does an excellent job in here in reviewing the Spark SQL and also the Spark mlib. So this is his presentation here. So please watch this and also read this. Okay, did I answer the question? Did I answer the question? Let me look at the chat. Yes. And this also will help you this. Look, every yes, okay, every module we put this table here. It tells you what is due and when, okay? You put this might help a little bit. So here, right, it gives you that end of week 4, right? You have to submit, this is what is due in the assignment folder. Oh, one of you asked this, on the syllabus, what you see is an assignment title, but in here we split into more details. Like for example, discussion, week 3 discussion. For the week 3, you have to post. You have to do one post in the week for discussion. The next one, by the end of week 4, you need to respond, right? Perhaps respond to your classmate. Then the instructor, if the instructor goes to your post and responds it with a follow-up question, you want to respond to instructor, right? Or if somebody, your classmate, responds, you want to respond again, you know. So I would suggest you probably need to have a full post, right? Because you have to post something every week. That's the reason why the syllabus say discussion 3, discussion 4, discussion 5, because you have to post, you need to post something every week. Because if you go and post something when discussion closes, you're not getting the benefit of it. And another thing that I would suggest that you read the post of your classmates. You're gonna learn a lot from it. Okay. In fact, some instructors do require reading classmates' post. Okay, because well, your instructor can see actually if you are reading your classmates' post, and please read because you're gonna learn a lot from your classmates. That's an opportunity. So that's the thing. This is what I did, and what else I did as a student, I tried to answer questions posted by my classmate. Well, it was me. I tried to beat the TA sometimes. Well, that's what I did. It was me, okay? I tried to beat the TA when I was a student, but everybody is different, okay? Anyway, do we have more questions? Questions? Guys, please ask questions. We have a few minutes to address questions. And yeah, I'll be checking. I'm doing my best to check questions and answer. And even the, well, yes. Okay, let's see. We have something. Oh, great tip. Yes, excellent. Yes, sure, yes. So with me, my way was well. In fact, when I did the bachelor, I had 4.0 GPA, but always my way of seeing it was that if I'm taking a class, it cost me big bucks. I wanted to learn something from it. Learning from professor, learning from resources, and also learning from the feedback. Oh yes. Because sometimes I was getting on instructor's nerves if I was getting just a score and no feedback on assignment, because my point was that, okay, this is the work, and I wanted the instructor to tell me what I did right and where I could improve. I always wanted for this feedback. So guys, you get instructor feedback, and I don't want you to take it for granted. I want you to read it, right? We want you to read it. And then when you do next assignment, you improve upon it. Like if instructor tells you that, hey, you need to cite references in text, then when you submit your next assignment, the instructor wants you to see citing references in text. This is a good way, right? Okay, yes, you can have multiple counts in the select. Excellent, yes. The select can have multiple counts, yes. And sometimes I want to print something like for the department. I want to print average satisfaction. I want to return how many people are in the department. Yeah, exactly. You can have multiple counts in the select. This is what I was doing in there. Count stars, and I was doing the sum, and then I was doing the difference, count minus the sum, as long as it's grouping by the same column. Yeah. And the same thing here, like if I want to look at our data 650, right? Sometimes I want to see in each session, I want to count how many students, right? So I'm going to display the session number. I want to see how many students. I want to see the average grade, right? I could do that, average score for assignment 1. Sometimes I want to see average score for assignment 2, right? So I'm going to have multiple grouping functions in the same select clause. Yes, it's possible. Why not? As long as the grouping column is the same, you can have multiple counts. Yes. And I'm going to promise you that we're going to have a very good SQL session. Okay, how about that? Lynch, do I ever lie to students when I promise something? Lynch?
I don't think so.
Yelena, I don't see more questions. We should be finishing.
Yes. Let's finish
what happened with the recording then.
Oh, okay, let's finish it. No problem.
At least I'm going to stop the recording.
Yes, okay, no problem.
And I don't see questions, so.
Yeah, but we're gonna have follow-up questions in our discussion, yes. Please post in the discussion board.